So we talked about this earlier, and I want to come back to this, these 10 fundamental elements of, well, living a life that you love. And I wanted to talk about each one of these for a second. Only you can fill your cup. So along my story and along my journey, I've come across each one of these elements, and where I learned that only I can fill my cup was the beginning of my cycling trip, actually. I was in a relationship. I thought that that was going to be my life, but it wasn't. It ended up being just a portion of my life. I don't need anything, anyone, or any change in my life to fill my cup. Only I can fill my cup. So I'm sitting here, I'm relying on Ross to fill my cup, or I'm relying on the completion of my bike trip to fill my cup. I'm relying on a career change or graduation or something new, a new car. Maybe it's getting something or giving something or being with someone. That's what I was relying on to fill my cup. When you're alone on the road for 74 days, only you can fill your cup. I could have sat there and said, this sucks, I'm out. Like, this is not fun anymore. Or I could have sat there and said, I'll get there one petal at a time. I'm finding my own happiness, and that's okay. If you're relying on someone else to fill your cup, you're not going to find contentment. Key is contentment. I don't like the term happiness, or like, I like the term happiness. I shouldn't say that. I don't like the idea that we should always be striving to be happy, but contentment is key. Another thing that I learned along the way, I'm going to see if I can do this that way. No, that didn't really work. That wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be. Was that the second thing that I learned was that you have to choose love. Love is, in a lot of ways, love is a choice. Love doesn't always come naturally. I mean, sometimes love comes naturally, but sometimes love is a choice, and you have to choose to love every single day. You have to choose to love. You have to choose to love yourself every single day. You have to choose to love your situation, the highs and the lows of it, every single day. When you choose this love, you move forward in a way of contentment that is beyond all else. That is you choosing to fill your cup. You're choosing that this love will continue. It's a very interesting idea that love just kind of overwhelms us and comes like naturally, and that's how it should always be. But if you're waiting or you're wanting this natural love when it comes to something that you're doing, maybe not someone, but something that you're doing, there's going to be moments where you don't love it. And that doesn't mean that you quit. That just means that you continue forward and you're choosing to love it. You're choosing to love that end goal. You're choosing to love, if we're looking at it in terms of a relationship, some days your significant other is going to drive you insane, but you're choosing the long term of that relationship. Or maybe we're looking at it in terms of my cycling trip. There's days where I, of course, wanted to quit. Of course. But I chose to love the days that were hard, because the days that love came naturally were incredible. And I wanted to keep making it to those days. You can look at this in the form of life, too. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes it really sucks. Sometimes I'm going through legal issues with people that I saw were friends beforehand through the company, and now I have to fight for the nitty-gritty because it's a company, and I love these people, and it's not good, and I have to choose to love that day and continue forward to the next one, because the days that love comes naturally are incredible and not worth losing out on. So choose love every single day. So we're kind of going through these 10 elements. We'll go back to it in a little bit to make sure that I've covered all of them. But another one that I want to share with you is that I wanted to live my life true to myself and not the life that others expected of me. And I think that this is beautiful. This quote actually came from a study that was done. It was a study on the top regrets in a palliative care unit, and it was done in Australia. And they interviewed a whole bunch of people that were in the end phases of their lives, longer lives. And they asked what their biggest regret was in life. And their biggest regret was that they didn't live a life true to themselves. They lived a life that others expected of them. Don't limit yourself based on what comes next. Don't limit yourself based on this timeline that you're supposed to fulfill. Don't limit yourself based on other people's doubts in your capability. Don't limit yourself on what you need to do next in order to accomplish this end life goal. Live true to yourself. Find what matters to you. I had to do this so many times in my story, so many times. But one time that really comes to mind is that semester that I took off. I took off this semester to find myself. I found myself in Europe, turns out. But I took that semester off to find myself. I wanted to be in education because at the time I was with Ross and there were no business jobs in this small town in BC that I had met him in. And so I decided to go into education because that would allow me to stay in town and be with him. So I picked this job, this career, this path based on being with someone else, not being true to myself. When I took some time, and at that time, this was before my bike trip, I took some time away from the relationship. We were still together and we were still together, but I just needed to take some time separate from him and be challenged and travel and be out of my comfort zone to discover who I really wanted to be. And I loved that challenge. There's nothing wrong with being a teacher. I think it's one of the most incredible things that you can do. And sometimes I still am like, oh, maybe I should have been a teacher. This sounds like totally up my alley. I love kids and I love growth. But I'm very happy with the career choice that I made. And I made that separate away from everybody else's influence. I made that for me. So live the life that's true to you, not the one that other people expect of you. All right, this is not going to be a smooth transfer either, but we're doing it. We're doing it. We're diving in. Okay, this one I love. First of all, that's my cousin standing on her head. That's totally her. That's how she is. She's all over the place. It's hilarious. Those are two of my friends. This was on our first mountain retreat, actually. It was the first time the Lady Alliance ever held anything. We weren't even a business at the time. We were just an Instagram account. So a lot of the people, 7 or 8 of the ladies that came were friends of mine, and then the rest of them just found out about it through following the Lady Alliance Instagram account. But I like putting this out there. Comparison is the thief of joy. I think that it's so important to remember that who you are is so beautifully unique in exactly the way that you are. If you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, you're going to lose joy in your life. And I like this photo with it because it was just this moment of absolute pure joy. But the reason I say that is because I had a very unique experience on this cycling trip. Also when I was in Europe. Also when I was on my bus trip, where I had these moments where I would be looking at Facebook. At the time when I was in Europe, there was only Facebook. And then on my cycling trip, we had just introduced Instagram, so I wasn't on it at all. The first time I used Instagram, I posted a photo and I was shocked that a friend liked it because I thought it was an editing app, like a photo editing app. I had no idea what I was doing. And so I mostly would look at Facebook at that time and then Instagram on my bus trip. And I would be jealous of people at home. I would be jealous of people cozied up in their beds, or I'd be jealous of people with their boyfriends watching a movie when I was in Spain away from mine. Your comparison steals the joy that you're experiencing in that moment. There was actually many times where I'd be cycling and so jealous of someone being at home that I was not enjoying my moment. On my bus trip, when I would take days by the beach and I would go and surf, and it just sounds so magical. I had days where I'd sit there being jealous of people that were in a relationship at home, feeling content, and they knew where their next water fill up was. If you let yourself compare to other people, you'll lose that joy. The thing is about life is that as you get older, especially, not as much when you're younger, because you do have to live within the life of other people, your parents or your community, and you are structured in that way a little bit more. But once you're older, you get to realize that the more you compare to people, not only is it stealing your joy, but it's unfair to you because you've made these decisions, especially if you're living true to yourself. You've made these decisions to bring you to where you are today. And by comparing yourself to other people and their highlight reels, which we'll get into, if you're comparing yourself that way, you are not enjoying the path that you've worked hard for. I mean, life is a struggle. Life is an absolute struggle. It's difficult. It is challenging, but you've picked your struggle. You've picked the things that you get to push through and figure out and drive towards. And that's a beautiful thing about life. And so if you're allowing yourself in moments of struggle, in moments of difficulty, to compare yourself to other people, that takes away from the beauty of the life that you're designing for yourself. I always say that life is like a trailer of a movie, or it's like the real movie. I guess I should say it's more like the real movie. Whereas your social media, where we end up comparing ourselves a lot of the time, our social media is like the trailer of the movie, where you get all of these heavy hitting, exciting images and videos and clips, and it's all the best of the movie, and it really pulls you in. That's everybody's social media. Everybody's social media is just this like shoddy, amazing, not shoddy in a negative way, but like full of awesome shots, shots of this incredible life. It is their trailer. They want to pull you in. The movie is those shots, yes, but it is the lows too, and it's the not so good stuff. Your life is this beautiful life full of bloopers. It's like a blooper reel is what it is. It's full of mistakes and failures because we always strive to fail forward. That's the most beautiful thing in life, is when we have this opportunity to fail forward. And it's just full of all of these not so pretty moments, but we get distracted in these beautiful trailers, this highlight reel, and we start to compare our blooper reel to this highlight reel, and we feel like our bloopers just don't measure up to every single person's life out there, which is just not the case. I guarantee you that person that you look at on TikTok or whatever you're looking at them on, and they look beautiful, they've mastered their makeup, they've got these awesome dance moves, whatever it is, and they just look like their life is perfect, I promise you it's not. I absolutely promise you it's not. So avoid comparison and love your own struggles, because you get to choose those, and you get to choose this direction in a lot of ways, and especially as you get older, you'll get to choose more in your life. And when you get to go through those struggles, that's you painting this masterpiece. And don't want to trade that for anybody else's, because yours is beautiful just as it is. That was a really long talk about this comparison. Let's go into a couple more that I learned, and then we'll start wrapping up here. But I wanted to say for sure that doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Failing, as I mentioned, best thing that you can do in life, as long as you're failing forward. If you doubt yourself before you even give yourself the opportunity to fail, you're going to miss out on a lot in life. If I would have doubted that I wasn't capable of cycling across Canada, I guarantee you my life would have taken a completely different turn. If I would have had a moment of doubt enough to stop me from doing it, I would not have the Lady Alliance. I would not have this career that I am in love with. I would not have this life that I am absolutely in love with. I would not have accomplished something that made me feel so good inside and made me feel connected to my grandfather. I wouldn't have healed from the heartbreak of my first ever breakup, and I wouldn't have learned to heal for the next ones as well, because I don't think I can say that. I'm not going to say it again. Holy smokes, does it happen every once in a while. And if I wasn't prepared to learn how to heal in those moments of that bike trip, I would have come across a few doozies of some breakups. So don't doubt yourself. Don't redirect your life without knowing it just because you think you're not capable, or worse yet, someone else thinks you're not capable. Try it. Fail forward. I dare you. It's an incredible feeling. Another one that I love is your life becomes this physical manifestation of the conversation going on in your head. This has a lot to do with that self-doubt. If you're telling yourself you're not capable of doing something, you won't do it. You won't be capable of doing it because you limited yourself before you even got a chance to try it. So I encourage you to tell yourself you are capable of doing that one thing, or tell yourself that you are capable of accomplishing something, or running a few extra lines if it's basketball practice, or doing that workout that you don't want to do because you're quarantined at home and that sucks. Don't limit yourself. Tell yourself that you can. Even better yet, tell yourself that you're beautiful. Tell yourself that you're amazing. Tell yourself that you're worth everything, that you deserve the best, because then you'll be attracting the best. Tell yourself what you want in your life. Manifest what that means. Tell yourself how your life is going to show up for you, and it will. We're just cruising now. We're cruising through these 10. We're going to go back through and look at the actual numbers, but I promise you these are the 10. Ooh, I love this one, you guys. Ooh, I almost cut it off too. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. So we've talked about you're choosing to suffer, and you're choosing your ways, or what I wanted to say back then was that your choice is this beautiful, beautiful path that you're laying out in front of you. So that suffering aside, and that thought process aside, what I mean here is something different. What I mean here is pain in life is inevitable. Life is painful. Life is not easy. And the longer you live, the more people disagree with you, because you'll have this running list of people that just disagree with you slowly over time. The more you experience pain, the more you experience loss, the longer you're living here, the more there is that's painful. But suffering through that pain is a choice. You have this opportunity to turn pain into growth, and I definitely encourage you to take it. I had this bike trip at the end of a breakup. At the second breakup in my life, that one was pretty brutal. I went through a very emotionally abusive relationship. We did therapy together, and I continued with the therapist afterwards. And I had a lot of insight into what she saw in the relationship, and it was a very emotionally damaging relationship. I felt like he broke me down to nothing, and I felt like nothing. I felt like nothing after that. But instead, okay, well, we're getting close to the end of this. Instead of sitting there in the pain and choosing to suffer, I decided to sit there in the pain and choose to grow. You have this opportunity when you're faced with pain to grow every single time. And I highly encourage seeking growth through your pain. Every breakup that I've had, I've allowed it to be a building point for my growth. So I get to decide which direction I want to choose. Every loss of a family member or a friend that I've had in my life, I choose my own direction after that. And I use these moments of pain to learn about myself and to grow. And so pain is inevitable. Pain's going to be there in life. But how you suffer through it, or suffering in general, is a choice. And so I encourage you guys to seek growth through your pain. And I think this might be the last one here. Oh, it's kind of cut off. Sorry, guys. But the amazing memories are hidden in the small events during a big journey. What I mean there is that when I was on the cycling trip, the amazing memories that I have of that trip were so lost in the mud of this entirety of this giant journey. But when I remember back to it now, almost 10 years later, I can remember the amazing moments almost individually, like it was only amazing as I went through it. So what I mean by that, if that wasn't clear, that was a little bit all over the place, but I had this long journey of 74 days, and looking back at the entire thing together, it wasn't all roses. It wasn't all butterflies. I think the term is butterflies and roses. It was sporadic moments of happiness intermixed with this longer journey and pain and struggle. And now when I look back at it, the amazing memories from that trip are those small events that happened throughout it. So if you're going through something right now, maybe it's a high or maybe it's a low, and we're going to get back into the happiness kind of idea in a second here. But maybe it's a high, maybe it's a low, whatever you're going through, that's a small event in a larger journey. And these amazing memories that you're going to have through this are those small events. So take them as they come. Take them as a high or take them as a low. Self-assess, be mindful through it, and really enjoy the overall journey. Because I think it's an incredible thing when you can start to look back on your life later on and you get to see these incredible little moments scattered throughout it. So let's bring up those 10, because there's one last one. Oh, maybe actually there's two, I think. I did not mention one in here. There's two that I think that I want to go through. So we talked about only you can fill your cup. We talked about changing our idea of love, that sometimes you have to choose that love. We talked about, we did not talk about yet, the setting aside unaltered, uninfluenced you time, but we kind of did in the way that we also talked about you get to decide where you want to go in life. So there was that slide, there's a beautiful mountain range. We talked about that Australian study that was done with the palliative care unit, where people regretted not making their own path in life. Setting aside unaltered, uninfluenced you time allows for you to create your path in life without any influence outside of what you want. That's why I went to Europe. That's why I took time aside from what I was doing to go and make the decision that I wanted to make for life. So that's that setting aside unaltered, uninfluenced you time. Find out what you want to do. What makes you happy, quote unquote. What makes you drive towards improvement? What makes you excited to wake up every single day? What is it that you want to do? Set aside that unaltered, uninfluenced you time to find that thing or multiple things. Stop focusing on those damn red carpet reels and stop comparing yourself. And then right now, know that you are enough. And the beautiful thing is that you are always enough. You are always capable beyond your wildest dreams. I didn't need to, I should have probably maybe a little bit, but I didn't need to drown myself in training to be able to cycle across Canada. I just took it one baby pedal at a time, 30 seconds at a time, and you make it. You right now, in this moment, have everything that you need. You are enough. We're going to come back to the destroy your idea of happiness. Maybe I should switch this around so it's on number 10, because I really like finishing with that one. We talked about enjoying the journey as the entire journey, because those small elements make up this entire journey, whether they're highs and those lows. Always seek growth, fail forward. Your life should be just this mixture of, my life actually holy smokes, is my life a mixture of failures? Then I always just fail forward. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. I did not focus on this one in a slide. To learn to communicate your needs to others without feeling guilt. This has a lot to do with finding your own path in life. If you feel guilty enough to say that you're going to do something that you don't want to do, if you don't feel confident in yourself enough to say no and to protect your time, you will eventually lose out on elements of your life that you can't get back. If you constantly say yes when you really want to say no, it's a big time suck. So that's a big fundamental element of living a life that you absolutely love. And the other one was build and take part in your community. And that's through the Lady Alliance is where I found so much happiness. I love participating in our online courses and helping women heal through heartbreak, or talking with communities and talking to groups or school groups or basketball groups or whatever it is. I love being a part of that community. It makes me excited to wake up every single morning. So let's wrap this up here and destroy our idea of happiness. If we're always striving to be happy, that sadness is going to feel like it's absolutely overwhelming. If we have this expectation that we should always be happy, we will never actually fully meet it for a long-term period of time, because that's not what life is. That's actually us comparing ourselves to a highlight reel, wanting something that in a lot of ways is unattainable. So I actually challenge you guys to destroy your idea of happiness and strive towards contentment. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and the lows are what feature the highs. Without the lows in our lives, we wouldn't be able to truly enjoy those highs. So if you're going through a low right now, if COVID is overwhelming, because it has been in times for me, if you're struggling, then I encourage you to destroy your idea of happiness and to realize that being mindful of where you're at and what you're feeling and what you're going through is contentment. Choose to love yourself. Choose to love yourself through those difficult times, because when that love comes naturally and when happiness is there, that high of happiness is there, it's going to make it so much more sweet. So those are the 10 fundamental elements of happiness that I've learned throughout my life, cycling, bus tripping, whatever it ended up being. And I hope that you guys can take this away and enjoy your life on a different level from here on out. Being mindful when you're bothered and struggling through something, knowing that pain is inevitable, but struggling is a choice, and you're choosing to love yourself, and you're choosing contentment, and you're choosing mindfulness during these low periods, so that when you get to these high periods, it is so much more sweet. Don't always strive for consistent, all the time happiness. It's not going to happen. There's going to be those low days, but those low days are just an opportunity for growth and for change and for redirection in a lot of cases. And sometimes that's all that life needs, is a little bit of you saying that you can do it. So if you haven't had a grandfather tell you that you are capable beyond your wildest dreams, if you don't feel like sometimes you're enough, if you doubt yourself, I hope that I can join you today to tell you that you are capable beyond your wildest dreams. You are always enough. Always. You've always been enough. And don't doubt yourself, because there could be a branch of your life direction that you're missing out on by limiting yourself that could have changed your life forever. I hope you guys enjoyed this little, oh my gosh, 76-minute clip. And I look forward to working with you guys again soon. Thank you for inviting me into your home tonight. And if you have any questions, if you need to reach out, if you need to chat, you can find me at the Lady Alliance on Instagram. I'm only a message away. Have a great evening, and I hope to see you again soon.